Hello everyone. So I wanted to go through this video and answer one of the questions that I got most often on my previous pedal board rundown, and that is how do I make the Line 6 HX Stomp behave similarly to the Boss OC5 and the Boss OC3? If you're not familiar with those pedals, they basically allow for the bass frequencies, the lowest notes of your guitar signal, to be isolated and sent through an octave process in order to make it sound like there's a bass patch or a bass player playing along with you. And what's unique about these pedals is it isolates the lowest notes, whereas most octave pedals give octave dynamics to your entire guitar signal. And I thought, when I bought these pedals, initially the OC3 and recently the OC5, that these were the only ways to achieve this, but I've since found a way on the HX Stomp, and if it can save you money from buying another piece of gear and maybe even inspire some more creativity within you as it has with me, then I'm excited to share it. So let's get started. If you can, listen in some headphones or a sound system that has some bass, though if everything comes through on a cell phone speaker or a laptop speaker, then I'll also be pretty excited about that. But for the best results, I'd like you to hear what's going on in these lower frequencies. So this is my guitar patch. I'm just going to play a few chords, and you can hear what I am working with as a bass, a basic patch that I play through while performing solo. So pretty standard, clean, just edge of breakup sound with some reverb over time, a good amount of reverb. I love reverb. And one of the primary features of the HX Stomp, which will most likely keep me a fan of the Helix and HX Stomp for a while. I haven't seen any other units that really do this, is a feature called crossover frequency. And if you are a solo performer, either acoustic or electric, I would highly recommend you start implementing this into your signal chain. This is a split crossover, and as you can see, it's at 52 hertz right now. And what that means is everything under 52 hertz, which, by the way, is actually fairly low, like really low frequencies, low end frequencies, is being split off and sent to its own signal chain. And everything above 52 hertz is being sent to another signal chain. So above 52 hertz, you see on the top line here some effects like phaser and chorus. And the reverb and distortion actually is on there too. But everything below is being sent to its own pathway, this lower pathway. The lower pathway, currently I have a Boss OC5 running in the effects loop, and then I also have a simple pitch, and I'll show you the differences of those two. Now, the Boss OC5 I was hoping was going to answer all of my problems when I purchased it, but the octave preset, when set to its lowest, you can see over here, it's set to the lowest feature. It will isolate the lowest note of your chord and create an octave sound. But when running stock without any other modifications to your signal chain, the OC5 will also create octave dynamics and octave replication on some of the higher notes you hit, like solo notes, like those notes up there would also receive an octave, which is a cool effect, but it's not something that I wanted to be prevalent throughout the entire performance. The Boss OC3 had a range knob, which effectively created a cutoff of when the octave would be prevalent or not, based off of frequency, but it would not necessarily isolate only the lowest note. And sometimes you would have octave effects on multiple notes at one time. And in the bass frequencies, that can create a lot of muddiness and warbling sounds. So with this crossover frequency, what I've done is allowed the OC5 to behave as it does from the stock, but with this 52 hertz range, it's creating a cutoff. Everything above this hertz will cut off from being sent to the OC5, allowing my top notes to remain unchanged. So I'll go ahead and turn on the OC5 now. Let me just play it again with no OC5. Now I'll turn on the OC5. It's a little low, so I'm just going to turn it up a little bit. And if you're listening in headphones, you should be able to hear that octave pretty well. Now what this allows, once again, is for me to be able to perform top notes while having the lower notes ring out with the octave and have these top notes unaffected. So already just a great step up. If you have an OC5 and you have an HX Stomp, I think these two play nicely together. But what I've found is rather than using the OC5, I can just use a simple pitch algorithm, and I find a lot of the same behavior to continue in a plugin that's already available in the HX Stomp. And saving the money or the space on your time, or the space on your pedal board, I think is something to consider. So this is the same preset, except not going to the OC5, just going to the octave. And hopefully, if you're listening, once again, you can hear that there's a bass frequency. And even when I'm doing complex chords, I'll do the same thing with the OC5, so you can hear that they behave pretty similarly. And I find them both to be comparable in this this perspective in order to utilize them as bass emulation patches. But what I discovered as I started to dive more into this, what I'll do here is I'll turn off the upper frequencies completely. So my little mixer here, I've muted the top frequencies. We're just going to hear the bass frequencies. And right now there's no octave on this bass frequency. It's just 52 hertz and below. Now the red block that you're seeing at the beginning of this chain, where's my finger? There we are. That red block is just a bass amp. Whoops. Let me turn it back here. Go back to 50 hertz. Is the Del Sol bass amp. I have the gain really high on it, and I have the master and channel volume. The channel volume you'll adjust for your own volume needs, but basically, no pun intended, this is acting as a compressor and an EQ for the bass signal. You don't necessarily need to use this. I think you can still get good effects with just the split crossover and the octave, but I just wanted to be transparent as to what we are hearing when we hear the bass signal from 52 hertz and below. So right now, you're hearing a standard electric guitar with humbuckers from 52 hertz and below, going through a bass amp patch. But for the most part, it's uncolored in a general sense. And Man, this is just I have so much to talk about in this realm, but more or less, if you can isolate that frequency, you will uh, greatly enhance your guitar tone in general. But now that I have that tone isolated, what I'll do is I'll show you how the Boss OC5 is interacting with that information and what the OC5 sounds like in the lowest frequency. Another important thing to note is that I have the wet dry signal of both the pitch to be at 50%. I don't know why that was on 20 cents, but anyway, it's at 50%. I think this is really, really, really useful to keep your bass patches uh, clean. A lot of times people will, and initially tried to have the mix at 100%, thinking that I needed this low octave to always be the only sound down there. In actuality, you want to have some of the original fundamental at in there as well. And I think 50% makes sense. You're having 100% of the clean sound of the electric guitar with a complete 100% blend of the octave going through. And I have the same thing set for the send, where I have the Boss OC5 mix at 50%. So you're going to hear this sound, this low end unaltered frequency alongside of the OC5 here. So you're still hearing the fundamental, but you're hearing the OC5 interact with it. And I'm doing some like, I like to do just country chords with this, like D, C, and G, because I think these are some of the messiest sounding chords inside of the guitar, and it makes it, I think it tests out the system quite a bit. So now I'll go to the straight up, what's it called, the simple pitch, and to me this is what clicked. And my preference for the HX Stomp was more or less immediate after hearing this difference was what I hear now. In my opinion, that sound of this octave behaving is so much cleaner than this OC5. I think the OC5 might be just a little louder, so I'll turn it down a little bit, but the OC5 sounds like a synthesizer, whereas the simple pitch sounds like my guitar signal pitched down with an algorithm, but not altered into some wave of a synthesizer. That's the OC5. You hear how it sounds kind of squawky, almost like a fretless bass. There's almost a decay for it to kind of jump in. Now I'll go back to the simple pitch. To me, I just really prefer the simple pitch. And the exciting thing about it is that I can play these country chords. And because of the isolated 52 hertz and below crossover frequency, it is being sent to just that. Just those frequencies, allowing me to make those chords similarly to what the OC5 allowed for. So really love the HX Stomp for a number of reasons. People have asked me to upload this preset, but I feel like I've just kind of showed you how to make it yourself. And I would rather teach you how to fish than to, give you a fish. I also don't really know how to upload presets onto the onto the network. So I'm just gonna allow you to do it. Now I would suggest checking out some of the other octave effects that the HX Stomp has. So once again, just more reason to enjoy the HX Stomp. It has a list of other presets here that would be helpful in the pitch world, which would be, you know, these poly capo and poly pitch could be useful. This Boctiver, I'm not really sure actually what that is, could be useful. Then when we go to the legacy, there's a bass octaver. And then we get into some of the synths. There's actually sine wave synthesizers that you can set to an octave. So if you just put any low octave unit with a 50% dry wet ratio, I think you'll start to gain some more flexibility in your bass tone. So here's the bass octaver. Which this one sounds a little bit more similar. I'll turn the normal all the way off, so sounds somewhat similar to the OC5 in the way that it's a bit of a synthesizer, but I just wanted to give you that option to kind of look around and see what other octave simulators would be helpful to you. So, long video. I mean, I just love doing long videos, I guess. Love going on deep dives and just talking about this, talking about the process that I went through in order to get here. So I hope it's helpful to you, and best of luck. And feel free to ask me any other questions or give me some suggestions if you think that you've seen me kind of, gloss over something that even maybe I overlooked. But until then, best of luck with bringing out some good sounds on your end. Anyway, take care.